Hi class. Hi, Intro to Psych. You did just see one in the same outfit, sorry, because it's the same time. It's Sunday, and I'm recording what about when your personality goes wrong? So expectations are from society about how we're supposed to behave in certain situations and what our personalities are like, or what we talked about in the last video, well, the one before the Sunday morning video. So, expectations from society, some people go way outside the lines on those. And so we like uniqueness, we say, but if you're too far outside the lines, we call it a disorder. Isn't that good to know? So, personality disorders are grouped into three clusters. They're still controversial because we just talked about the big five in the last video, and that is about how we now see trait theory and dimensions um, of our personalities, which allow a lot more nuances. But we still have decided to keep personality disorders grouped into these three clusters for at least this volume of the DSM, which is how we measure DSM-5 is now how we measure every psychological disorder, every mental illness. There we go. So we're just talking about personality disorders. So these are our personalities. We all have traits of these. So when I go over those, don't get excited and go, oh my God, I have that. Of course you do, because you have traits, you have characteristics of all of these, but they may not be clinical because they are not causing distress in your life or interfering with your ability to maintain a normal interaction with people, or it's not causing an obstacle in your school or your personal life, or your employment. So those kinds of things make it a disorder. If it's not causing those problems, you may be annoying to other people if they're annoying characteristics. You might be endearing if they're endearing characteristics, but they're not a disorder unless they hit way outside the lines. Okay, so there's cluster A, cluster B, and cluster C. Cluster A, we're going to talk about. There are three, and they're odd and eccentric. That's how we would describe those. And I'd have a T-shirt for each disorder. I'll tell you what I would wear as a T-shirt if I had this. But they're odd and eccentric, the three of those. And B is emotional and volatile, and C are the anxious ones. So nervous, anxious, that kind of thing. So I am going to go over A cluster, then C cluster, then B cluster, and I might divide it into two videos if I get too long in these. So the first in cluster A, the odd and eccentric group, is a paranoid personality disorder. And these people would have a T-shirt that says, I know you're out to get me. Because that's what they think. They think that about you. They think that about their coworkers. They think that about their lovers, their friends, everybody that they come in contact with. They have a pervasive distrust and suspiciousness of other people and of other people's motives. They're always interpreting other people's ideas as malevolent. And the perfect example would be you're in a crowded bar, except nobody is right now. But later in life, when you're old enough and you decide that we can touch each other again, we're in a crowded bar and we're really close, and somebody bumps into you. And I would think we're in a crowded bar and we're all bumping into each other and it's kind of okay. But somebody with a paranoid personality disorder would go, what the? You want to take this outside? Why did he do that to me? He purposefully did that. So that kind of thing. They assume others are going to always exploit them or try to deceive them, even if there's no evidence or little evidence that that exists. And that's true if you're dating one. So if you're involved with one, or gosh forbid, if you actually are married to one or committed to one, they will always suspect that you're having an affair. They will accuse you of it on little evidence. They will make up little ridiculous evidence that really doesn't prove anything. They found something, a piece of paper with a number on it that probably was just dropped off in front of your house. So anyway, they always believe everybody's plotting against them. They think they've been hurt deeply and irreversibly. Sorry. And they are preoccupied and have incredible unjustified doubts about the loyalty or trustworthiness of you and of friends and of coworkers, everybody. They're pathologically jealous of you and they need control over any intimate relationship. And that's so they can make sure that they're not betrayed. So they avoid betrayal because they want to know everywhere you've been, who you've been with, how long you were with them. Everything gets checked. Sorry, that is not a regular dry cough. That is just me choking. Um, so they are, yeah, they're pathologically jealous. They're very litigious. They're the people who say, I'm going to sue you. And every time something happens, their answer is that they're going to sue people, which is kind of ridiculous, but that's where they are. And they are about 2% of the population, but they believe that everybody is out to get them. So you get that. And the second one is schizoid personality disorder. Now, these guys, and I say guys, but they can be guys or gals, actually don't have many friends or close relations, but they don't want them. There will be one later in the anxious group that they don't have them, but they really, really want them. They're just scared. But schizoids are like, their t-shirt would say, I'm ignoring you. With very little emotion would they say that, though. I'm ignoring you, because they don't get excited about anything. They don't get excited about intimate relationships, and they don't get great joy out of sexual relationships. They don't get great joy out of seeing a sunset or walking on the beach. Things that most of us get some pleasure out of, seeing a sunrise, having a really good talk with someone that you care about, because they really don't care about people that deeply. They don't have a lot of satisfaction from relationships and that type of thing. They have little interest in those kinds of things. They choose solitary hobbies. They might make model boats or model planes. They do not, they pick jobs. I'm sorry. They pick jobs that are solitary. They might be a computer tech. They might be a security guard at night. They might like math problems as a hobby. The good news is they're indifferent to your criticism, so they don't give a crap about what you say, which is also helps them a great deal. So let me just, okay. Anyway, schizotypal is the next one in this group of odd and eccentric, and they truly are the most odd or eccentric because they're the ones that their t-shirt would say, I'm not comfortable here. They actually could walk into a party, but as the party goes on, they get less and less comfortable as time goes on. They have a discomfort with close relationships. They're a little superstitious, so they would think they have special powers. So if they think, oh, the dog is going, you see the dog going out for a walk from your spouse, and you go, they're doing that because I thought that. I thought the dog should go for a walk an hour ago. So suddenly when the dog goes out an hour later, they think somehow they had something to do with it, something magical to do with it. So it's a little loose thinking, we call it, that kind of thing. Their interactions are pretty stiff and they misinterpret a lot of the social cues in life. So cluster C are anxious and nervous people, and they are, the first one is avoidant personality, and their t-shirt, more females than males, but it can be pretty equal in newer research. Their t-shirt would say, don't hate me, I know you hate me. Because they have a pervasive pattern of social inhibition. They feel inadequate. They are hypersensitive to any kind of criticism or evaluation or anything. They will avoid work activities that involve any kind of interaction because of fears of criticism or being rejected. They won't ask people out because they feel that they'll be rejected. And we all don't like to be rejected. Nobody likes to be rejected, but sometimes we put ourselves out there and sometimes we get rejected and it feels like crap, but we get over it. And these people can't live with that. They just don't, they can't. They live in constant fear of rejection. They take offers of job promotions and decline them because they're afraid that their new responsibilities will include interactions with people. They may have to supervise people, or they'll have to be critical, and then they won't like them anymore. And so they'll just give up on that kind of thing. They'll avoid making new friends. unless they are very certain that they'll be liked. So you have to give them a lot of support, because if you give them a lot of support, they do actually do okay. If you nurture them, give them a whole lot of support, and make sure that they don't have any questions about that. They are hard to get into intimate relationships because they want them desperately, but they're so afraid that they will be rejected again. They have just a very, very low threshold for detecting any negative reactions from anybody. They're hurt. They're incredibly hurt at a slight disapproval. If you say, well, maybe you'd want to wear something a little dressier. Oh my God, it's terrible. I knew I was terrible. I knew you wouldn't like what I had. It's just really hard to, yeah, to be with these people that just never think that you're going to like them and can't take just simple, easy disagreements or criticisms. If you said something like they said, oh, that's terrible the way that mother's treating the child, you go, well, do you really think she meant to be that mean? Blah, then she probably will go into a hole and never say an opinion again. They're shy, they're unquieted, they're inhibited, and they're invisible. They're invisible in our lives. They try to be, no matter what they say, they think it will be wrong. They pick activities um, that they've already done. They don't like new activities. So they don't like taking any personal risks. They tend to exaggerate the dangers of ordinary situations, like Debbie Downer might do on Saturday Night Live's old skits, Debbie Downer, that everything will go wrong. They think of the things that will go wrong, never the things that might be fun or what might go good with skydiving or bowling even, or whatever it is. So they also have a restricted lifestyle because they don't take a lot of risks in life. They like a need and have a need for security and for certainty, and so they'll cancel job interviews if they don't think they have the right outfit. They don't engage when they don't feel up to it, or they might exaggerate physical symptoms because they just don't want to. They appear tense and lonely and isolated, and they just don't have large social networks to help them out. Dependent personality. Oh my gosh, they would have a T-shirt. I'm a Klingon. They're Klingons, but their T-shirt would probably just say, "I can't decide," because they can't make decisions about big things in their lives, and they can't make decisions about little things in their lives. So they just can't make decisions. They are pervasively and excessively have a need to be taken care of by somebody else, and that leads to them being very submissive in their behavior. They have a fear of separation, so they cling onto you a lot. More females than males in this one because of the old socialized thing, we think too. Females have a fear of abandonment in the old thinking, and males have a fear of commitment. So more females would be diagnosed with this disorder, but their submissive, I touch my face. Their submissive behaviors are designed to elicit caregiving, and they arise from a self perception of being unable to function adequately in the world. So they have great difficulty making decisions day to day, like what to wear to work. Oh my gosh. Or what they should pack for lunch, what color shirt they need to wear, whether they should take an umbrella. So they need a lot of advice, a lot of reassurance. They're the ones that passively allow other people to make decisions for them. They let their parents decide what college they're going to go to, for goodness sakes. They they depend on somebody else to decide where they're going to live, who they're going to befriend, what kind of job they should have. So they really don't make a lot of decisions on their own. They have difficulty expressing disagreement because they are so afraid to lose your support, and they need you for every little bit of their lives. And while that can be great comforting if you're a dating spouse, dating person on the other side of that in the beginning, because, oh, you feel needed, isn't that wonderful? Yeah, for a while, but it's not when you can't shake them off your ankle because they are just clinging on to you for every little decision in their life. So they have difficulty initiating any projects on their own, but they do well if you give them a lot of supervision and structure and instruction around them and are approving of them when they go. They go to excessive lengths to get that nurturing from you, and they feel uncomfortable and helpless And when one relationship ends, this is really good. They will go desperately looking for the next one. So if you're the next one, they're the ones that love to dive in because they need you and they will make you feel needed. Just remember what comes after that. Opposition or obsessive compulsive personality disorder is the next one. It is not obsessive compulsive disorder. Remember, obsessive compulsive disorder is an obsession. That over something, like I'm going to fall off the bridge if I go over it. The compulsion may not be to not go up the bridge or to go around 3 times in a circle near there before you go over, and that's going to help you out or whatever. It's checkers are people who check if their oven is off 5 times before they leave the house, and it's always 5. If they do 6, they have to start over again. So this is not that, but it is related a little bit. Obsessive compulsive personality disorder are the perfectionists. You know them. They've always been that way. They're perfectionists. So their t-shirt would say, if I want it done right, I have to do it myself, because there's only one right way to do anything, and it's their way. They are just nightmares as bosses because you never want them. They micromanage you, they tell you what to do, and then they just natter and natter and natter at you and never let you do it yourself. Certainly, you're not going to be able to make mistakes on your own. They have a preoccupation with orderliness and perfectionism, and they are in interpersonal control of their lives at the expense of any flexibility and openness and efficiency. So they may not be doing well during this whole thing because we have to change what we think and be a little flexible, and that's really hard for them. They're the ones that would be emailing saying, but I want to do this and I want to do that because that's what you told us we have to do. Okay. So they have painstakingly followed rules, and they follow trivial details, and they have procedures and lists, and they make outlines of outlines, and they will spend an inordinate amount of time if they misplace a list, a grocery list, instead of redoing it, or a list to go to the store, or a list of whatever. They will spend hours looking for it instead of the 5 minutes that it would take to just redo the list. So if they lose, if they can't complete a paper when they're starting at school, if you have a roommate like this, they can't complete a paper because they can't start it because they can't find the perfect first line, or they can't complete it because they have 37 rewrites and they can't get it quite right, and they change it and change it back and change it back again. And so they want nothing short of perfection, and they have an excessive devotion to work. They are workaholics. They love work, and they will put off vacation after vacation after vacation. So if you are in committed relationships with them, beware. You may not get any vacations unless you go yourself. They don't like a lot of leisure activities either because they want to take work with them, so they don't feel inefficient because they can't waste time in their lives, and they think everybody else is just slackers. They just see the world as slackers, and they're the only ones that take it seriously. If you give them even an activity that's fun, they'll take it on like it's work. If you give them archery, they'll do it until they can make the Olympics. They'll swim every day, 3 times a day, whatever you do. So they don't, they tend to be miserly and stingy, and they maintain lifestyles below what they can afford. They tend to, and they are not good at relegating tasks. So I'll come back and talk to you about B, because this is going on too long. So I will come back with the B cluster. They're the most exciting, so I saved them for last.